Today, the heartbroken family visit the scene of a school crash that took the life of their son. Breaking overnight, a security guard stabbed at a pub in Sydney. Unfolding emergency, 72 killed as floods smash parts of Spain. Tougher sentencing for young criminals, Queensland on the brink of fast-tracking new laws. The Prime Minister responds to his Qantas upgrade fallout. And Coldplay turns Marvel Stadium into a sky full of stars, kicking off their Australian tour in Melbourne today, Thursday, the 31st of October, 2024. Good morning and welcome to Today Early News. The devastated family of Jack Davey has visited the site where he was struck and killed by an out-of-control car at a primary school in Melbourne's east. Nine's Penelope Lersch reports.
A smiling 11-year-old remembered for his incredible heart.
He's just... Sorry. He's just a beautiful kid. He loves sport. He was so good at sport. He's just a sweet, sweet soul.
The community who loved Jack Davey united in grief. Through tears, his classmates leaving messages, missing him already, as they try to understand just how this could happen.
He was sitting on a chair having a chat with the girls in the sunshine, which is just him.
His grandmother comforted metres from the school crash site. During recess, a white SUV slammed through the fence after performing a U-turn.
What can only be described as a complete tragedy. Our thoughts and heartfelt sympathy are with Jack's family and friends, and our thoughts are also with the 4 students who remain in hospital and, of course, their beautiful families.
Jack's basketball team remembering him as a passionate young basketballer and a valued member of our community. This tragedy is unfathomable. From his junior footy club, we are devastated and deeply saddened. And his futsal team, rest peacefully, sweet Jack. You will forever hold a special place in our hearts. A loss felt well beyond Hawthorn East.
I can only imagine, I've got little kids. I can only imagine what it was like to drop Jack off to school and not pick him up.
The 40-year-old woman behind the wheel had just picked up her own child. After being interviewed by police, she was released pending further inquiries. An extra 25 teachers from surrounding schools coming to offer their support.
I want to thank and acknowledge my wonderful staff and those parents who helped yesterday, including providing comfort to our children.
This will be a difficult days, weeks and months ahead for Auburn South Primary School.
As families and a school community struggle to find answers.
A security guard has been stabbed inside a pub in Western Sydney overnight. It happened at the Granville Diggers just after 10:30, with a 36-year-old man now in a serious condition in hospital with wounds to his arm. The pub remains a crime scene as police investigate. We have breaking news out of Brisbane right now, where a man has been shot during a home invasion. He was shot in the legs and has been taken to hospital after the incident in Nunda on the city's north side. We'll bring you more details as they come to hand. A criminal investigation has been launched into the death of a disabled woman who was found gravely ill northwest of Adelaide. Detectives say the victim was found living in squalor at the Port Augusta property before she was taken to a local hospital. She then had to be flown to Royal Adelaide Hospital, where she later died.
There's significant indicators present in the investigation at this stage of criminal neglect, but it's unclear at this stage whether that criminal neglect caused the death or whether the death was caused by serious underlying health issues.
The focus of the investigation will be who was actually caring for the victim. The death toll has risen in Spain as raging floodwaters take over streets and cause massive car pile-ups in parts of the country's east. For more, let's bring in Europe correspondent Jessica Millwood in London. Jess, good morning. Spain's Prime Minister warns the devastation is not over.
Morning, Alex. That's right. This is an extraordinary weather event sweeping through Spain, and indeed extraordinary images are coming out of the country. Raging floodwaters going through communities, as you can see right there, and cars are being tossed on top of one another like they are toys. This is the worst flooding to hit Spain since 1996. 72 people are now dead. Many are missing, but parts of the Valencia province where it has borne the brunt of this flooding. They are impossible to reach at the moment, so the exact number of people missing isn't yet clear. There have been a number of dramatic rescues. We've seen swiftwater rescue teams wading through those torrents of water to get to people inside their homes. There's also been swiftwater rescues with people winched to safety from the roof of their home. One community called Shiva in the Valencia province, it received its yearly annual rainfall total in just 8 hours. To the north, Barcelona is also receiving a lot of wild weather, and while the worst of it is said to be moving away, storms are expected in the coming days. So Spain's Prime Minister is urging his citizens to not be complacent. Trains have been suspended, schools closed, football matches have also been cancelled as 3 days of mourning is declared for the country. Alex?
Jess, thank you. In the last few hours, Israel has launched airstrikes on the northern Lebanese city of Baalbek after the town was told to evacuate by the IDF. This is the first time a city in northern Lebanon has been given evacuation orders. Meanwhile, Britain's Prime Minister has demanded Israel reverse its UNWRA ban in Parliament. 2 people have been rushed to hospital after a nuclear submarine shipyard went up in flames in northwest England. The shipyard is owned by one of the world's biggest defence contractors, BAE Systems. Investigations into the blaze currently pointing the finger at faulty equipment. The AFB and Border Force have stopped more than 100 kilograms of illicit drugs from hitting our streets. 4 people are now before the courts after being charged with trying to smuggle the drugs through Sydney and Melbourne airports. 9's Sophie Walsh has the details.
A 21-year-old woman from New South Wales and 23-year-old from New Zealand are accused of trying to smuggle 52 kilograms of methamphetamine into Sydney Airport on board a flight from Singapore. The drugs were allegedly concealed in packages labelled Chinese tea, each box containing 1 kilogram of the substance. In a separate incident which took place just a day later at Melbourne Airport, Border Force officers found 12 blocks of cocaine weighing 26 kilograms wrapped in carbon paper in a passenger's suitcase. 2 women from the UK were arrested after touching down on a flight from Mexico. A 20-year-old was released while a 33-year-old was charged with importing a commercial quantity of the drug and is now facing life in jail. That same day, a 38-year-old UK Northern Ireland dual national was picked up, accused of attempting to smuggle 25 kilograms of meth into Australia from Thailand. So all up, in just 24 hours, 77 kilograms of methamphetamine and 26 kilograms of cocaine was seized. That equates to 900,000 street deals worth more than $80 million. Police say the arrests should serve as a warning. They're closely tracking a rise in drug mules, and officers are stopping and detecting passengers at our airports almost every single day.
A 22-year-old driver is out on bail after being charged over the deaths of 2 young siblings in a 3-car crash in South Australia. Prosecutors tried to oppose Callum Thorne's bail over concerns his phone, which was last seen at the crash site at Nangwarry, is now missing. The case will return to court in May. A manhunt is underway for a bumbling arsonist accused of ramming a tobacco shop in Perth's northeast before setting it alight. CCTV shows the moment the firebug flees the Midland store, accidentally setting himself on fire in the process. Police now asking the public to help track him down.
These kinds of acts are deplorable. We don't want them to occur in our community, and we will do everything we can to investigate them and bring these people to justice.
A $25,000 reward is on offer for anyone with information that leads to an arrest. The Queensland Government's signature adult crime, adult time laws could be passed with just 1 week of scrutiny, as opposed to the regular 6 weeks dedicated to new bills. The newly elected party promised to crack down on youth crime by sentencing children who commit serious crimes to the same jail time as adults. State Parliament will reconvene for the first time since the election on November 26, but Premier David Crisafulli says the tougher laws will be delivered before the end of the year. And Coldplay has stunned a packed crowd at Melbourne's Marvel Stadium. Despite the Jubilee, the group were 1 man down for the first time ever after bassist Guy Berryman was too sick to perform. But the show went on last night in full force. The Supergroup will return to Marvel Stadium tonight for their second of 4 shows in Melbourne. Today's top sports stories. Proud Queenslander Ben Hunt could be returning to his home state after the Dragons ripped up the final year of his contract. Dolphins CEO Terry Reader confirming the club's interest in the rep halfback, but he's yet to speak to Hunt or his management.
Well, the way rugby league works, nothing surprises you these days, but in reality, we've had no contact with Ben Hunt or his management, and if he's interested in speaking to us, I'm sure we'll hear from them in due course.
It leaves the Dragons with salary cap space to target another marquee player. The Eels have granted Clint Gutherson an immediate release from his contract, with the fullback set to sign a 3-year deal with the Red V. The Diamonds have saved themselves from a brutal Constellation Cup Series whitewash with a 63-50 win over New Zealand in the final test in Melbourne. Australia buoyed by the vocal crowd at John Cain Arena, despite having already lost the trophy to the Silver Ferns.
I think that final game, whether we won or lost, that win was going to win more for us than anything that we had done in this series. Obviously, we're pretty disappointed with how we've played, so we really wanted to leave it all out there.
Meanwhile, the Aussie Kelpies, the Blokes, saved their best for last, thrashing the Net Blacks by 32 points to complete a 4-0 series win. Take a look at the weather across the country. Brisbane, 31 with a possible shower, 25 with showers increasing in Sydney. Canberra, some grey sky, and 25 today. 19 and a shower or 2 for Melbourne. 15 with showers easing in Hobart. Adelaide, tops of 25 and mostly sunny. 33 and clear skies in Perth. And a stifling 33 with some showers about for Darwin. Straight ahead on Today Early News, Kamala Harris in damage control just days out from the US election. Plus news just in, a man arrested and another taken to hospital after an assault in Sydney's west. And the Melbourne Cup Carnival just days away. The countdown begins for the reveal of this year's birdcage. Right across Australia, this is Today Early News on 9, and when you go out the door, we're streaming on 9 Now. Back now on Today Early News with news just in. A 52-year-old has been arrested following an assault in Sydney's west. The victim, a 50-year-old man, was found at the scene in South Wentworthville before being treated by paramedics for serious injuries to his face. He was then taken to hospital in a serious condition. Kamala Harris is trying to distance herself from Joe Biden after he called Trump supporters garbage.
Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
The president was addressing Latino voters after a comedian at Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Let's go to US correspondent Alison Petrowski in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Alia, good morning. The timing is not ideal for the vice president's campaign.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. Good morning to you. These comments are being likened to the 2016 campaign when Hillary Clinton referred to Donald Trump's supporters as, quote, a basket of deplorables. This is an unwanted distraction for Kamala Harris, who, Alex, has been running a really disciplined campaign, and it overshadows her performance last night, delivering a speech in front of 75,000 people on the ellipse with the White House as her backdrop, pitching herself up to American voters as the next commander-in-chief. And look, the White House is trying to clean up this mess this morning, releasing a transcript, and Joe Biden has released this as well, adding an apostrophe to the word supporters and claiming that Joe Biden was just referencing Tony Hinchcliffe's comments. And for a reminder for our audience, Alex, he called Puerto Rico, quote, a floating island of garbage. As you mentioned, Kamala Harris distancing herself from her commander-in-chief this morning. This is what she said to reporters on the tarmac in North Carolina a short time ago.
First of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
But look, it's not all bad news for Kamala Harris's campaign today. A surprise endorsement, Alex, coming from one Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former Republican governor of California, who says he will be supporting Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. In a statement, he said, a candidate who won't respect your vote unless it is for him, a candidate who will send his followers to storm the Capitol while he watches with a Diet Coke, a candidate who has shown no ability to work to pass any policy besides a tax cut that helped his donors and other rich people like me, but helps no one else, a candidate who thinks Americans who disagree with him are the bigger enemies than China, Russia or North Korea. That won't solve our problems. And he went on to say, turn the page and put this junk behind us. Alex, the candidates in a battleground blitz today, both of them. We've just seen Donald Trump take the stage in North Carolina. He will go to Wisconsin this afternoon. And Kamala Harris is hitting 3 key swing states today, including where I am in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where we expect her to take the stage in a couple of hours from now. Alex.
All right. Ali, thank you. New Yorkers are now able to cross a busy street at any time without being ticketed by police. Jaywalking now legalised after a legislation that was pitched by the City Council was passed. It comes after city data showed black and Latino pedestrians were disproportionately targeted. The National Anti-Corruption Commission will now reconsider investigating 6 public officials who were referred to it by the Royal Commission into robo-debt. This comes after Commissioner Paul Brereton was accused of misconduct since he didn't remove himself from the case despite knowing one of the people referred to the watchdog. The Prime Minister has shut down speculation over his integrity, rejecting claims that he called former Qantas boss Alan Joyce for travel arrangements. Political reporter Amanda Kopp has the latest.
In a bid to address this days-long saga, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has firmly denied claims that he sought flight upgrades from former Qantas CEO Alan Joyce. His office issuing a statement saying the Prime Minister did not ever call Alan Joyce seeking an upgrade. The statement goes on to say that all travel has been appropriately declared and is a matter of public record. The government rallied around the Prime Minister.
Isn't that unethical conduct?
I don't believe so. I think the Prime Minister has gone out of his way multiple occasions this week to answer questions about this issue.
All declarations by the Prime Minister have been made in accordance with the rules.
But what we do know is that the Prime Minister had a very significant and now declared personal friendship with the CEO of Qantas.
This controversy all started on Saturday, raising concerns it's stealing valuable airtime as we get closer to the next federal election, slated for early next year.
In a major win for residents near Brisbane Airport, noise caused by a number of flight paths will be heavily reduced. Air Services Australia announcing an alternate runway mode will be used more frequently, allowing planes to arrive and depart over Moreton Bay. The new path seeing up to 500,000 fewer residents affected, with aircraft staying over the water for longer. A Gold Coast grandfather and his grandson have lived through a terrifying home invasion. 5 masked and armed men breaking into the Southport house, waking up his grandson with a flashlight in his face and a screwdriver to his head.
They literally said to him, "We want your wallet, your car, your money, or we're going to shoot you." These 5-6 thugs that are just out there rampaging and destroying people's homes, properties. I feel so violated, and my grandson, it's going to take him a long time to get over this.
The gang of thieves ransacked the home and stole the family car. Police now investigating whether that group is linked to other break-ins nearby. The Reserve Bank is poised to hold interest rates for the rest of the year, despite inflation falling to 2.8%. Its lowest level in 3 years. The next rate cut is expected to be considered in February next year, meaning relief for shoppers during the festive season. Looking at the markets on Wall Street, the Dow Jones is up, gaining 35 points. Not as good for the S&P 500, which closed in the red. At home, the All Ords lost 66 points. In London, the FTSE ending almost 60 points lower. Commodities, gold, $2,788 an ounce. Silver is at 33 and oil is at $70 a barrel. Coming up in Today Early News, the Rabbitohs suffer a brutal injury blow before the start of the NRL pre-season. Plus, Wallabies back row Rob Ballatini joins an elite club after winning back-to-back John Eales medals. Countdown is on until this year's birdcage is revealed. The Melbourne Cup Carnival on the horizon. Welcome back to Today Only News. Our top stories direct from the 9 newsroom this Thursday. Today, a heartbroken family visit the scene of a school crash that took the life of their son. The Melbourne community now mourning the life of 11-year-old Jack Davey. Breaking overnight, a security guard stabbed in the arm at a pub in Sydney's West. The 36-year-old now in a serious condition. And unfolding emergency, 72 people killed as a year of rain floods parts of Spain. Sport and Wayne Bennett's second coming at South Sydney has been dealt a brutal blow, with Cameron Murray set to miss the entire pre-season. The Rabbitohs captain damaged his wrist while in Kangaroos camp and will see a surgeon to assess the extent of the injury next week. Souths are bracing for a long-term layoff of approximately 5 months, meaning Murray won't return until mid-March. Hawthorn has unveiled a new commemorative logo as the club prepares to celebrate 100 years in the AFL and VFL. The design is inspired by the 1925 iteration, featuring the iconic HFC monogram in the middle. The logo will proudly feature on the front of the famous brown and gold Guernsey for the 2025 season, as well as off-field apparel. Rob Ballatini has been crowned the Wallabies Player of the Year, winning his second successive John Eales medal. The back rower is just the third player after Michael Hooper and Israel Folau to take home rugby's most prestigious award in back-to-back years.
I'm not one to really chase medals or anything. I just love rugby, and I think I sort of put it down to my training, just being consistent through there. We're trying to be, but then I also put it down to people behind the doors who help me and make a lot of sacrifices for me to be able to do what I do.
Winger Maya Stewart was crowned Wallaroos Player of the Year after scoring 9 tries in 8 tests. The highly publicised bat-off for a new test opener begins today, with Australia A taking on India A in Mackay. It's a 4-horse race between Marcus Harris, Cameron Bancroft, Sam Constas and Nathan McSweeney. The team's captain wanting each of them to embrace the challenge and make the job hard for selectors.
I think, being talked about, play for your country is a great honour, and try and embrace that, the chat, and all I can do is prepare as best I can and the other boys and go out here, and it's a great opportunity to represent your country at A level.
Australia A will play 2 tests before the Border Gavaskar Trophy gets underway at the end of next month. Stay with us. Coming up, Melbourne Cup Carnival on the horizon as the countdown begins until this year's birdcage is unveiled. And it's time for Today, but first your local weather. This is Today News, live on 9 and 9 now. Let's check the weather real quick. A possible shower in 31 for Brisbane. Sydney showers increasing in 25. A shower or 2 in Melbourne with tops of 19. Mostly sunny and 25 in Adelaide, and in Perth clear skies and 33. It's coming up on 5:30. Thanks for your company. Today's top stories.